Hi, welcome to your channel Generous, Gracious and Gallant. I am your host Dr. Moore M. Ghosh and I am back today with another awesome story for you. Before we go on to the story, could I request all those of you who are coming on to the first time to the channel Generous, Gracious and Gallant to kindly subscribe to the channel. And for those of you who are already my subscribers, a heartfelt thank you. Let me give you a brief about the channel Generous, Gracious and Gallant. The channel was started in 2015 on Facebook and today there we have about 810 members. This is a private group based on invitation only. On WhatsApp we have an additional 120 members and on YouTube, which we started in May 2020 in view of the ongoing battle against the infamous COVID-19 virus. Today, we have got 320 subscribers. The reason for this phenomenal growth is that everyone is supporting us on our mission. What is our mission? Our mission is to change the thought process and strengthen the moral fiber of the present and coming generations so that they live by human values and principles and can make a difference to society. Coming back to our story, the awe-inspirational person who I'm speaking to you about today is the only Catholic ruler of India, a Nautch girl turned ruler. She fought along with the Marathas against the British East India Company army, and Shah Alam II, the Mughal emperor, addressed her as my beloved daughter. It also needs to be said here, she was also known as Begum Samru and her birth name was Farzana Zeb un Nisa. She was the ruler of Sardana, a principality near Meerut. She was the head of a professionally trained mercenary army inherited from her European mercenary husband, Walker Reinhard Sobre. Her army consisted of European and Indian mercenaries, highly trained, very professional. She was born Farzana Zebun Nisa in 1753 in Kutana near Meerut in India. She was of slight stature, very fair. She displayed exceptional leadership qualities from a very young age. She was of Kashmiri descent and frequently she led her troops into battle as the leader on horseback. At early teens, at the young age of 14, she married the then mercenary from Luxembourg, Walter Reinhard Sobre. He was all of 45 years of age, and when he saw Farzana dancing as a Nautch girl, he fell in love with her and married her immediately. He moved then with Farzana to Lucknow and then he went to Rohilkhand near Bareilly. From there they went to Agra, they went to Dig and then Bharatpur and then back to Deb. Farzana frequently helped Walter in his activities and also helped him out and advised him on activities of great intrigue and counterintelligence. After the death of her husband, she succeeded him as the ruler for the principality. In those days, in the 1700s itself, it was giving her a per annum income of 90,000 pounds. She became more and more powerful thanks to her growing income and she trusted nobody, but she had only one friend in life. Her name was Begum Umda, who was from another Jagirdar family from Sardana. They were so close that even when Begum Umdao got married and moved out further away to Meerut, Farzana would always pay her multiple visits and kept the friendship alive. On 7th May 1781, she got baptized by the Catholic priest and named herself Joanna Nobles Sobre. She was the only Catholic ruler in Indian history. She was also much quoted by her husband's colleagues. Principal among them was a Frenchman called as La Vassault and an Irishman called as George Thomas. Begum Sabra favored the Frenchman, and when there was a rumor of her marriage to the Frenchman, the troops revolted. La Vassault escaped on horseback and the Begum followed him on a palkin. On getting a misinformation that he had been killed, she stabbed herself and tried to commit suicide, but later recovered. The Begum was all of 4.5 feet tall, always wore a turban, and frequently led her troops into battle. It was said that the enemy was literally terrified of her, and there was a superstition around the Begum that she was a witch, and just by throwing her cloak on the enemy would be defeated by her. During the second Anglo Maratha War, in one of the battles which took place in Asaya on 23rd September 1803, the British East India Company was led by Major General Arthur Wellesley, who later became the Duke of Wellington. Begum Samra led her troops from the front. Her troops consisted the left side of the Marathas' army, which was later defeated. But the Begum's army was well trained and also consisted of a few irregulars, Jat soldiers, in addition to the fully professional and highly trained European and Indian mercenary soldiers. She during the lineup, along with the Marathas in the battlefield, was attacked by the 74th Highlanders, and she successfully repelled the attack. Later, a picket commanded by Colonel Orrock also she successfully repelled. She also successfully withheld and repulsed a cavalry attack by the East India British Army. However, the East India British Army far outnumbered the Maratha lineup, which was headed by Daulat Scindia and Raja of Berar, and the Maratha lineup was thoroughly routed. The army fell into disarray. However, it was noted that it was only Begum Samra's army which marched off the field in perfect marching order. After the defeat in the Battle of Assaye by the British East India Company, she surrendered to Lord Lake and lived in the good books with the Britishers. She had multiple visitors such as the Bishop of Calcutta, Reginald Huber, the Commander-in-Chief of the British East India Army, Lord Comber Moray, and also Jean Baptiste Ventura, an Italian adventurer. Begum Samra, there are several stories of her political and diplomatic astuteness and her ability in the battlefield. The Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II considered Begum Samra very close to him, and he gave her the title of most beloved daughter. In two instances, Begum Samra stood by the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. The first instance was when Delhi was attacked by 30,000 troops of the Sikh Bangal Singh, who wanted to raid Delhi, but Begum Samra negotiated with him, and the Sikh army returned without plundering Delhi with gifts from the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. This was in 1783. In 1787, when Shah Alam II, the Mughal Emperor, was quelling a rebellion and in pursuit of Najaf Quli Khan, who was leading a revolt against the Mughal Emperor, the Emperor's army seemed hesitant at times to attack Quli Khan. Seeing this, Begum Samra led her 1,000 men strong troop along with her cannons and fought against Quli Khan. This was more than enough to subdue Quli Khan, and Quli Khan appealed for peace, which Begum Samra brokered between the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II and Quli Khan. The emperor was so impressed that he gave her the title of my beloved daughter, and she frequently met up with the queens of the emperor and was always considered a welcome member in the Mughal emperor's family. When Begum Samra died, or as she had christened herself, Joanne Nobles Sombre, born Farzana Zeb un Nisa, died in 1937 on the 27th of January in 1837. I repeat, she died in 1837 at the ripe old age of 85 on the 27th of January. She left part of her property to David Sombre, who was her husband's first son from his earlier marriage. She was buried under the Basilica of Our Lady of Grace, which she had built. She also built multiple palaces in Sardana, Chandni Chowk, Delhi, and Jharsa. The Pargana of Barshadpur, Jharsa, and Gurgaon in Haryana was also under her rulership. Begum Samra, born Farzana Zeb un Nisa, christened Joanna Nobles Sombre. Her journey from a Nach girl to the ruler of Sardana, a principality near Meerut, and also of Badshahpur, a fearless leader who fought against the British East India Army and was also called as my beloved daughter by the Mughal emperor for helping him out quell revolts against him. An exceptional leader and the only Catholic ruler of India. An inspirational woman whose leadership qualities enabled her to ensure that she ruled Sardana and other principalities with ease. The stories of her diplomacy and political astuteness are part of folklore even today. Friends, I am sure you like the inspirational stories which I bring to you. So please do subscribe to the channel, Generous, Gracious and Gallant, and also feel free to share these stories with your friends and family. Friends, I'm also a strong proponent of the concept of difference to one. Not all of us can be Begum Samra and make a difference to multiple lives, but yes, all of us can stand up and make a difference to someone in your community. Friends, mankind is facing one of its greatest battles against the infamous COVID-19 virus. Lakhs have lost their livelihoods and many more have lost their lives. This is the time when you, if you are relatively ineffective by the virus, can stand up and make a difference to someone in your community. However, before that, you have to be a COVID warrior. What does that mean? That you have to safeguard yourself, wear a mask always whenever you're going out in public, ensure that you maintain social distancing norms of 6 feet, and avoid crowded places as much as possible. If you are a COVID warrior and you are safe, then only can you stand up and make a difference to someone else. If you yourself are not well, then you are of no use to anybody else and you are the one who requires help, right? So please keep yourself safe, follow the social distancing norms set by the government, follow the procedures laid out for your safety, and stand up and make a difference to someone in your community who needs your help. You don't know what difference it will make to the person who you have supported. So friends, till we meet again with another awe-inspiring story for you on this very channel, Generous, Gracious and Gallant. Good luck, all the best, stay safe.